Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Ma Yuan Hao. With the continuous advancement of science and technology, the civilization of mankind is consistently rising. Religion is also impressible from us. Therefore, the civilization of Islam is also advancing. Today, I will introduce to you the contemporary Islam.
I was initially asked to talk about an area that I'm specialized in, which is public policy and the objectives of the Sharia. However, I wanted to take a step back and talk about something I believe is more fundamental to citizenship discussions today. And the portal conversation that I participated in this morning, if some of you are familiar, the portal just outside of the Sheraton Hotel, where we were able to communicate with Syrian refugees and internally displaced Iraqis. And the discussion that emerged was, how do we move people to more humane understandings in the world, not just of the refugee crisis, but of our shared understanding of citizenship? What are the foundations of dialogue? How should we be dialoguing? And what ought to form the foundation of our identities? And I believe this is as human beings, not just as citizens. So I decided to take a step back and talk a little bit about two fields, ethics and morality in Islam, and in particular the works of Professor Ismail Farouqi and Professor Muhammad Abdullah Draz. In the work of Tawheed, its implications for thought and life, we have a magnificent exposition of unification, or how we can bring disparate and diverse elements of all creation, not just humanity, together. And in Muhammad Abdullah Draz's The Moral World of the Quran, we could also see a unifying law of morality. I believe that, and they do form part of the foundation of the work that I do in policy studies, especially the ethical foundation of the policy framework. But today I want to bring the discussion closer to citizenship. I think you'll find throughout the discussion that these understandings can move us closer to peaceful coexistence and to active participation in the production of social goods. They emphasize the importance of human rights and the rights of other creation. So in the work of Professor Farouqi, he posits, or he talks about Tawheed extensively, which to me is the summation of the Quran's theory of ethics. In fact, I believe that Tawheed, or unification, is the core purpose of the guidance in the Sharia. It is the heart of the Sharia system of ethics, in other words. Now, a simple understanding of Tawheed, as most of you are familiar, is the oneness of God. But a more complex understanding that Islamic ethic demands is, how do we translate that oneness of God into a truth that integrates revealed and unrevealed knowledge. To al-Farouqi, Tawheed is a general view of reality, and I'm quoting him, of truth, of the world, of space, of time, of human history and destiny. And it's characterized by important principles. The duality principle basically says that everything is comprised of God and non-God. In the first order, there is God unique with no partners. And in the second order, there's absolutely everything else. Our relationship to that first order is ideational, he says. So basically it's through memory, imagination, apprehension, intuition, observation, and reasoning. In the second order, which is the realm of non-God, there's all creation, the world of things, plants, animals, human, angels, the earth, paradise, hell, all their becoming since they came into being. Now, I take his second order and I divide it into two suborders in my research, because I think we need to distinguish between two suborders. In the first suborder, there is the individual. There is you. Unique. Nobody is like you. Once you've been created, that's it. And then there's everything else in the second suborder. So there's two suborders of the second order. Yourself and then everything else. And that distinction is important because it gives a concrete dimension to your relationship with the first order. How you interact with everything in that second suborder defines your relationship with God, in a sense. So it's not just the acts of worship, but it's how we act upon the world, how we act upon each other. So that distinction, I feel, is very important when we're talking about citizenship. It also forces us to think what our purpose is in life. What are we here for? What are we here to do? And this, according to Al-Faruqi, is called the principle of teleology. The cosmos is purposive by design. Every individual, along with everything else, all created matter, is purposeful. For us, it is to accept that God created us with human dispositions, with certain interests. As citizens, to have that as the base of our ethical philosophy is to accept diversity, it's to accept pluralism. It's to understand that this is one of the sunan or divine laws of God in how He created us. So it underscores the necessity of accepting that diversity. And it demands the acceptance and recognition of the individual and the communal other. And both are mentioned in the Quran separately. Both have different dispositions. Even groups are noted as having different dispositions and different interests. And to know that that is divine law and to respect that.